Then the greatest of all blessings, yeah, Iman. He made us Muslims. And then he made us from the ummah, the best of his creation, the best of messengers, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Imam al-Muttaqin. And because of that link, we are now the best of nations. Yeah. And because of that link, so many blessings. The previous nations cannot enter Jannah. It is haram upon them until the nation of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam does enter. So many. Any one of these ni'mas I mentioned, yeah, if we were to prostrate from the day we were born until the day that we die, in thanking Allah, we will not be able to truly thank Allah for even one blessing. Yeah. If we were to be given the age of Nuh alayhi salam, and we did not disobey Allah to the blinking of an eye, even then we will not be able to repay even one of these blessings. Yeah, there's a narration mentioned by Imam Hakim in his Mustadrak al-Hakim al-Sahihain regarding an abid, a worshipper from one of the worshippers of the past nations. He mentions that the Prophet ﷺ, he came out to his Sahaba and he said to the Sahaba that Jibreel alayhi salam just came from me. And he mentioned to me that I swear by that being who has sent me with the truth, there was an abid, there was a worshipper who worshipped Allah for 500 years. And this worshipper worshipped for Allah for 500 years at the top of a mountain. This mountain was located on a small island. The island was surrounded on all four sides by salty water. At the foot of the mountain was a little stream which would give sweet water. And next to the stream was a pomegranate tree, which would on a daily basis give a fresh fruit. So this abid, what he would do at night, he would come down to the foot of the mountain and he would do wudu, he would drink from the water, and he would have this fruit and then go back to the top of the mountain. Yeah, and then he would worship Allah all night and all day. Yeah, next day, he would come back again. Same thing, he would come down. And like this, days, years, decades, centuries passed, 500 years passed like this. And when the time of his death came near, he made dua to Allah, "Oh Allah, when I die, let me die in the state of sujood." SubhanAllah. And not only that, keep my body preserved in that position to the day of judgment, so that when I get resurrected, I'm resurrected in the state of sujood. If 500 years wasn't enough, we have a difficulty praying 5 times a day. Look at this abid. So Jibreel alayhi salam says to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that whenever us angels come down and we go, we pass by this person, he's still preserved. Allah accepted his dua, made him die in sujood, and he's still preserved in sujood till the day of judgment. And Jibreel alayhi salam then tells the Prophet ﷺ that this abid will be resurrected on the day of judgment and will be brought before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell the angels, "Adkhilu abdi al-jannah bi rahmati." Enter the slave of mine into Jannah through my rahmah and mercy. This abid, he has worshipped Allah for many years. He somehow thinks that his amal was good enough to get him into Jannah. So he will turn around and he will say, "Bal bi amali," rather I want to go in Jannah through my actions. So Allah will again say to him, "No, enter Jannah through my mercy." And he will insist, "Bal bi amali." So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell the angels, "Okay, get his good deeds, and the ni'mas I gave him, measure them against measure my ni'mas against good deeds." So this will be done, and the first ni'mat that will be brought it's a little bit slow. The first ni'mah that will be brought will be his eyesight. And his eyesight will be put on one side and his good deeds will be put on the other. And all his good deeds will be taken up by this one ni'mah. And now every other ni'mah is left. The billions of other ni'mahs he had was left. Now Allah has no choice. He says to the angels that take this banda of mine to Jahannam. So he's being taken towards Jahannam. Now the person realizes he has no good deeds. The only thing he has left is Allah's rahmah. Then he says, "Rabbi bi rahmatika adkhilni al-jannah." Oh, my Lord, enter me into Jannah through your rahmah. Then Allah will call him back and say, "Okay, bring him back." And he will say, "Ya Abdi, man khalaqaka wa lam taku shay'a." Who created you when you were nothing? Was it you or was it me? He says, "Ya Rabbi, anta ya Rabbi," because of you, Ya Allah. Then he will say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, that who gave you the tawfiq to worship me for 500 years? He will say, "Anta ya Rabbi." Who gave you a place to stay on the mountain? Who gave you sweet water from salty water? Who gave you a fresh fruit every day from that tree, which normally only fruits once a year? And then you ask me to make you die in the state of sujood, and I did that for you. Who did all this? Because you did this, Ya Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will then say, فَذَلِكَ بِرَحْمَتِي. All of this was through my rahmah. وَبِرَحْمَتِي أُدْخِلُكَ الْجَنَّةِ. And through my rahmah, I will enter you into Jannah. They will enter him into Jannah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, أَدْخِلُوا عَبْدِي الْجَنَّةِ فَنِعْمَ الْعَبْدُ كُنْتَ يَا عَبْدِي. That this slave of mine, you were a very good slave. And then Jibreel turns around to the Prophet ﷺ and says, that إِنَّمَا الْأَشْيَاءُ بِرَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى يَا Muhammad. That, O Muhammad ﷺ, all things are dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. Even the Prophet ﷺ, he will not enter Jannah through his actions. So where are we going to be? So what is the point of good deeds if they won't earn Jannah? Well, one scholar, he mentions that our good deeds are like that bowl that a beggar puts out in front of a rich person, hoping to attract the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to do these good deeds. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, through banking our deeds, will forgive us, inshallah, on the day of judgment, will also enter into Jannah. So our ulama have mentioned that for every single ni'mah Allah has given us, there's three things we should do. First of all, that shukr is wajib upon every ni'mah. So how do we do shukr? First of all, Allah has given us a ni'mah. We need to do i'tiraf with the heart. That, oh Allah, you gave me this ni'mah, I didn't deserve it. Admit it with the heart. Then with his tongue, he should say, Allahumma lakal hamd wa lakal shukr. Allah, you gave me this ni'mah. I've been disobeying you. Yeah, you could have taken this ni'mah away from me, but you didn't. And like this, a person, by the way, when he says and he remembers Allah's ni'mas, his love for Allah will increase. This is a very good way of increasing love. Al-insanu abdul ihsan. Al-insanu abdul ihsan. Insan, he's the slave of ni'mas. When somebody does you a favor, you start liking them. And you remember those favors, you like that person more. So a person should do this on a regular basis. And then the main part, he should use that ni'mah in the way Allah wants him to use that ni'mah. Okay? So a person, he's been given his eyesight. So you should do i'tiraf, Allah, I've been sinning my whole life. Yeah, you could have snatched my eyesight away anytime, but you've given me this eyesight. Allahumma lakal hamd wa lakal shukr. Then with these eyes, you should use it not to look at ghayr mahram, not to look at evil, not to look at films, rather to look at the Kaaba, to look at the Quran, to look at the mountains, to look at the creation of Allah and ponder upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation. So these eyes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَفِي الْأَرْضِ آيَاتٌ لِلْمُوقِنِينَ وَفِي أَنفُسِكُمْ أَفَلَا تُبْصِرُونَ. That in the earth are signs for those who believe, and in yourselves as well. Do you not see? So over here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the believers, لِلْمُوقِنِينَ, that those who believe, when they see the earth, things in the earth, this is a sign that Allah exists. He looks at the mountains and he says, Alhamdulillah, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Somebody has created these mountains. When he sees the sun rising, everything he sees around him is a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists. And even in yourselves, Allama Shawkani, rahimahullah, he mentioned in his tafsir, أَفَلَا تَنْظُرُونَ بِعَيْنِ الْبَصِيرَةِ. Do you not look with the eyes of basira, consideration, with the eyes of insight? Because if you did that, فَتَسْتَدِلُّونَ بِذَلِكَ عَلَى الْخَالِقِ الرَّزَّاقِ الْمُنْفَرِدِ بِالْأُلُوهِيَّةِ. Then it will give you proof. By doing that, by pondering upon the earth and in yourselves, it will give you those proofs that will prove to you that there is one Khaliq al-Razak who is truly mighty. These are the proofs of Allah. So remember that the talk that we're doing, inshallah, it will be a means of getting the greatness of Allah in our hearts. That this cannot have been created by anyone except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So keeping these points in mind, we're going to continue with the ayah, inshallah. So, and by the way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-Khaliq. He's the creator. He creates without, he's the only one that's the real Khaliq. He creates without any raw materials. Yeah, we can't do that. We're Sani. We're just assemblers. Yeah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Barik. He's the originator. Yeah. He doesn't copy anyone's designs. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also al-Musawwir, the fashioner. And we will see just in one part of the one. I'm only going to be mentioning very skimming the top of the things of regarding the ayah. But we will see in those little things how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is truly the Musawwir. So the ayah, weighing less than 30 grams, the size of ping pong balls, are those organs Allah has given us which allow us to see the world. Its sensitivity is such that the eyes can see a candle, can see a match being lit on a moonless night 50 miles away. The resolution of the eye is 550 megapixels at 60 frames per second. The iPhones of today, the 48 megapixel iPhones today are no comparison. They are workhorses, constantly working at 100%. As soon as we open our eyes, 100% the eyes are giving. It's the only part of the body that's 100%. And they don't need warming up. Yeah. They can detect something 0.01 seconds. That's how quick they respond. They allow us to see 70 million colors, different colors that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created that we can decipher. 80% of everything that we learn comes through our eyes. 50% of the brain's energy and power goes in assessing and monitoring and working out the information coming from the eyes. No wonder then that the eye has 2 million working parts. Who's maintaining this? Who's created this from one cell? When we were created in the fetus, one cell it started from. Who created all of this? Allah. So we're going to just go, just to keep our attention. I've made a few small clips. Inshallah, this will help with our attention and inshallah the retention. So I'm going to just make you go to the next one.
The eyes, the second most complex organ after the brain. As you see, there is much more happening behind the scenes than meets the eye. The eyes play a crucial role in blinking out any foreign particles like dust in the blink of an eye. Excuse the pun. The front clear surface of the eye is known as the cornea. You can feel its shape by closing your lids and putting your finger on it and then moving your eyes side to side. That bump that you feel, that's your cornea. There is no blood vessel on the cornea. It receives oxygen directly from the air. The eyelids are one of the fastest muscles in your body. Look at how quickly the dust particle is expelled. On average, we blink 20,000 times a day.
So 20,000 times a day, we are blinking. Every time we blink, it's a very important process, by the way, the blinking. Every time we blink, the eye is lubricated with a thin layer of tears. And these tears are extremely important in enabling the eyes to focus the light. It creates a smooth surface. Yeah. And every time we blink, this is happening. And when people don't have the correct amount of tears, or the tear is not coding properly, they get blurry vision and they get a lot of problems. Yeah. We even have patients who can't blink properly, and then they have to physically keep the eyes closed, so the eyes won't dry out. So how many of us have ever thought of our blinking as a ni'mah of Allah? 20,000 times a day. And it's possible to blink 5 times in a second. That's why when something happens very quick, what do we say? It's as quick as the blinking of an eye. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran mentions in a few places. In one place he mentions, وَمَا أَمْرُنَا إِلَّا وَاحِدًا. Our command is but one, كَلَمْحٍ بِالْبَصَرِ, like the blinking of an eye. So even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is acknowledging how he's created the eye to blink so quickly. So we'll travel from the front of the eye. Sorry, it's a little bit slow. We're going to travel from the front of the eye and go backwards. I know I've got limited time, so I'm going to have to try and skip a few parts. So first of all, we're going to look at the cornea. The cornea, it's the dome-shaped window at the front of the eye. Okay. The only reason you can see it here so clear is because of the reflection. It's a remarkable structure, only 0.5 millimeters in thickness. But the reason why it's clear is 2 reasons. One, it gets its blood vessels. It doesn't have any blood vessels. So every other part of your body, it gets nourished by oxygen through the blood. But the eye, the cornea, is one of the only structures, even though it's made from the same material as the skin, it's the only part of the body which receives oxygen directly from the air. Yeah. And it also has it has 5 layers, like I said, 0.5 millimeters in thickness. But the reason why it's clear is that the collagen fibers here are arranged in a very orderly fashion. So that's another reason why the cornea, which is that window, And every single structure here, by the way, has a very important role. Yeah, the endothelium, which is a single layer, say at the back, it pumps water out. In that chamber, you have water, aqueous humor, and it goes inside the cornea, and it is the job of the endothelium to pump that water out. And there's many features. Like I said, I don't have time, and I've been told to try and condense it. So I'm going to continue. Okay, so what happens? So the cornea, as I mentioned to you, is very important in the focusing of the eye. Yeah, you would have thought that the lens is the most important part of focusing. Yeah, but that's only less than half correct. Yeah, the cornea is very important. Let's look at how we focus light onto the back of the eye. So you have an apple. Okay, so imagine a person is looking at an apple far away. Light travels from the sun 93 million miles away at the speed of light, 300 million meters per second. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends this light to, it takes about 8 minutes for it to come from the sun and hit the apple. The apple, the wavelengths of light or the photons of light hit the apple. Some are absorbed by the apple and some are reflected back off the apple. And that's what gives every object the color that it is. Depends on what photons of light reflect, what wavelengths of light are reflected back off the object. So let's imagine the apple, and light hits the apple, and then it comes straight into the eye. It hits the cornea. Because of the curvature of the cornea and because of the refractive index, it's made out of a different material, like water. Light travels differently in water. When you look at water, things appear not the same depth because light is traveling different in different mediums. So in air, light travels, they say at the refractive index, air travels in light at the refractive index of 1.0, okay? Whereas the cornea is 1.3, so it bends the light. Okay, then it goes into the pupil. The pupil is a gap, by the way. It's not a structure, it's just a gap between the iris, which is the colored part. And then it hits the front of the lens. The lens is a slightly different refractive index, and it's also slightly different curvature. So then it bends a bit more, and then it gets focused onto the back of the eye. And as you can notice, the apple is upside down. So everything in our eye is focused upside down back to front. And it is a job of the brain to then put it back in the correct direction. It is a job of the brain to do many, many things, to decipher lines, to decipher perception, depth perception. It's a different topic. The eye is much more complex. The brain is much more complex than the eye. So we'll just stick to the eye for now, and the processing of the brain is according to most scientists, they don't really know exactly how everything works, how the eye processes, how the brain processes that information anyway. Okay. The eye is 22 millimeters in focal length, so it requires 60 diopters of power. You might have heard of 60 diopters. Somebody's got a prescription of -3 diopters or +2 diopters. Somebody might have thick glasses with +10 diopters maybe. So the eye is actually 60 diopters, and our eyes don't look that thick when we look at them. So Allah's created, like I said, Allah's engineering, what can we say? Okay, so majority of the power comes from the cornea, 40 diopters, and that's why this is the layer. When you have laser eye surgery, they modify this layer, okay? And then the lens is 20 diopters in power. That allows the light to be focused exactly there, okay? When we're reading, by the way, this lens is remarkable. It has the ability to change shape. Yeah, these ciliary muscles, they relax and they become tighter in order to make this lens more convex. So when you read, the light comes into your eye and gets focused behind the eye. And the lens, it becomes fatter, and you could add another 8 diopters onto that. Yeah? If you're reading something at, say, 40 centimeters, it requires 2.5 diopters of power. So the lens changes shape and brings the light back onto the back of the eye. Okay, so we're going to watch the next video.
The iris. This is the colored part, the colored ring that sits behind the cornea. The hole in the middle, which is black, is called the pupil. The iris regulates the amount of light coming into the eyes. If it's too bright, or when focusing, it becomes smaller and therefore protects the eye from brightness. And when it's dark, the eyes need more light, it becomes dilated and bigger. Behind the iris is the lens. The lens can become more fatter or convex to help focus the light when reading. The lens stops working properly for most people after the age of 40, and therefore they will need glasses for reading. Light from a faraway object comes into the cornea, bends a little bit, and then bends a little bit more through the lens and focuses itself exactly on the retina, the light-sensitive part of the eye. This scene shows how things are blurry, far away for some people who are myopic or nearsighted. The light is being focused not on the retina, but a little before the retina. This can be because the eye is too long. The next picture shows a hyperopic eye, where things close by are blurrier than things far away. The focus point is behind the eye. The eyeball is a bit too short, nothing that a pair of glasses can't fix.
Okay, so you saw in the video, the light, when it's focused exactly on the back of the eye, then the person gets clear vision. But if the light is focused a little bit in front of the back of the eye, then the image becomes blurry. For many of one out of 3 people in the UK are myopic. Okay, and that figure is rising. There's a pandemic of myopia. They're saying by 2050, 50% of the population is myopic. And one of the reasons, there are many reasons, but the environmental factors, one of the main reasons is that we're not going outside enough. Yes, we are looking at computer screens, we're looking at our phones all day long, we are reading books all the time, the walls are closed, everything is closed around us, and we're not going out. So when the COVID lockdown happened, people were just indoors. This causes one of the things, causes myopia, one of the causes of myopia. So our eyes grow mainly from when we're born. The first 3 years is when the eye grows from 17 millimeters. That's when it grows the most. And then after that, it carries on growing up until your mid-20s. So we need to make sure that that category of people, especially kids, every day they should go outside a little bit. Every day you should try and look at things far away. Give your eyes a break. Even when you're looking at a screen. Again, I've not got time to go into it because we don't have time. But one tip is they're saying the 20-20-20. That for every 20 minutes of screen time, have a break for 20 seconds looking at something 20 feet away. Okay? Because if we're constantly not indoors and we're not going outside, it can lead to myopia. Okay? So myopia, if our eyes, myopia occurs because of 2 reasons. Either the eye is too long, or either the front of the eye, the curvature of the eye is too curved. The more curved it is, the more the light goes forward. So as you can see here, if your eye is longer than it should be by 1 millimeter, it means that your numbers are -3. Look at how exact Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how concise Allah is maintaining our eyes to our life. If it's just out by 1 millimeter, it means that our vision will be blurry. That's -3 on the chart. You might have been for an eye test, you've probably seen it. So that's quite blurry. Okay. So for most people, what happens is, as you're growing, when you're born, your eyes are 17 millimeters across. As you're growing, as your eye grows, the front of the eye, it flattens automatically. Allah's system, He makes that cornea become more flatter. So it reduces in power, so the light stays maintained on the back of the eye. Amazing process. Yeah. And when this process, there's something goes wrong in this process, that's when you get myopia or hyperopia. So those people that need glasses, that don't need glasses, they should thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they can see without glasses. Yeah. And those that do wear glasses, they should also thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they've got glasses. 20% of the world's population who are blind because they don't have glasses. So you thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah has given you glasses. Allah has given you, made us the asbab, made the optician the asbab. So you should thank us as well. So it's reversible blindness because of not having glasses. 39% of the world are blind because of cataract. Again, another reversible disease, very easy. Very small operation is required. The lens of the eye becomes cloudy and a person can't see. And in poor countries, they don't have the facilities of having this operation. Us in the UK, as soon as a person is referred for cataract in Bolton, 3 weeks, they've had the cataract done. In poor countries, they're completely blind. I've seen people, even in my own practice, they couldn't even walk out of the room without help. And then they've had the operation and they've come walking to the practice. So imagine in poor countries, what they're going through. One of our ustad, Mufti Fallahi, Hafidhullah, he spoke to me recently. He mentioned they're doing operations in India, 300 operations very soon, to have this operation done. And for many of these people, by the time they get this operation done, they're probably literally blind. And just having the operation done, it's a very simple operation. And I skip a few bits. So 1 out of 3 over the age of 60 will require a cataract operation in the UK. So the operation is quite advanced. It's a very advanced surgery. A probe is put into the eye, 2 millimeters hole is made. The lens is broken and then sucked in, and then an artificial lens, which is folded, is put in a tube and is inserted into the eye. When the probe comes out, it automatically closes. It's only a 2 millimeter incision, so no stitches are needed. The person has the operation, 15 minutes, painless, and they can see again. I forgot to mention as well, cataract. A person is twice as likely to have a cataract if they smoke.
Our eyes move thanks to 6 muscles in each eye. Problems with these muscles can give rise to many symptoms, including double vision and headaches. The 2 eyes looking together is what gives us our depth perception. When the image is focused on your retina, the light photons trigger off nerve impulses that travel via the optic nerve to the brain for processing. The retina is full of photoreceptors that are sensitive to different wavelengths of light. Our eyes can see up to 7 million colors due to the photoreceptor cells known as the cone cells. Cone cells are of 3 types: red, green, and blue. Most of these cone cells are packed together in an area of the eye known as the fovea. This is what gives us sharp, detailed central vision. The rod cells are responsible for vision in dim light and are mainly found in the peripheral retina. Detail is not needed in our sight vision as much as the center, so rod cells will suffice there. The information travels via the optic nerve to the brain, where it is processed at the back of the brain. Eventually, a completed image reaches consciousness somewhere in the brain, which is yet to be identified.
So you can see that there's a wire or a cable which comes from the eye, and all the messages from the eye go to the brain via this cable. Okay, so let's have a look quickly at what the optician sees. When the optician sees, he looks into your eyes from here, and the view that he gets looks like this. Okay, so this is the optic nerve, what you just saw on the side view there. Okay, it's the only place in the body. The retina is the thin layer of skin, 0.5 millimeters, which lines the back of the eye. It's responsible for picking up the light. There's 125 million photoreceptors on the retina. Yeah. And this is as big as a stamp, big stamp. So the full retina is 33 millimeters in diameter from one side to the other, the size of a big stamp. And all the information from the 125 million photoreceptors go into this small cable, which is 1.75 millimeters in diameter, which is like a thick credit card. Imagine the cable has 1 million wires inside it, okay, axons, and 125 million photoreceptors. And this is the main part that we look for, where there's many cone cells, and cone cells are responsible for our central vision, and most of the cone cells are located in this area here, and it's an area 1.2 millimeters. So as you can see, there's a bit of data compression happening. The retina has 125 million receptors, but the nerves that go to the brain only have 1 million. So some data processing is happening on the retina itself. Okay, skip to the next one. Okay. So that's a side view of the million nerves fibers. By the way, if any of these nerve fibers get damaged or detached, there's no way of reattaching them. They're so sensitive and they're so minute that you can have a corneal transplant, the front of the eye, but you can never ever have a full eye transplant. It's impossible, and I don't think it will ever be possible. However, there is one person in history that I know of that has had a full eye reinsertion or a full eye transplant, if you want to call it, after the eyes have been severed. Does anybody know what that is? Just start me out. I'll give you a clue. Press on it. You're not supposed to show the answer. Fine. The Battle of Uhud. So Qatada bin Nu'man radiallahu anhu, in the Battle of Uhud, his eye was struck to the extent where his eye came out from his socket and fell on his cheek. He came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of all human beings, who put the eye back into his face. And it was later said that فَكَانَتْ أَحْسَنَ عَيْنَيْهِ وَأَحَدَّهُمَا, that the eye that was put back in, it was the better of the two eyes afterwards, and the sharpest. Okay. So this is just a side point. Okay. So just a quick, I've got 5 minutes left. The things that we see, the optician sees are these diseases. These are what causes blindness in the UK or in the Western world, in the developed countries. Macular degeneration, I mentioned that very briefly, glaucoma and diabetic retinopathy. By the way, in my practice, this is a lot higher because us Asians, South Asians, we're 6 times more likely to be diabetic. Okay? 1 in 16 people in the UK are diabetic, but we're 6 times more likely to be diabetic just because of being Asian, our genes, and also because of our diets. I'll mention that in a minute. The first thing I'll mention is glaucoma. So glaucoma is a disease which damages the optic nerve very, very slowly in most cases. There's 2 types, open angle and closed angle. I'm just going to mention the first type. So 1 in 40 over the age of 40 get a disease called glaucoma. It's a silent blind. Why? Because the person isn't in any pain, happens very, very slowly, and the nerves that get damaged first are the ones that are responsible for your side vision. And so a person doesn't really notice. And it happens mainly because the pressure in the eye builds up, and the pressure in the eye damages these nerves. It strangles the nerves. Okay, so it's very important. Anyone over the age of 40, they should have regular eye tests because they'll never know they're getting this. Yeah, unless they come for regular checks, the optician will check the pressure, will check the visual fields. Yeah, and if there's a problem, they can be sent to the hospital, and it can be prevented with drops. So a person that has glaucoma, this is what they see. Okay, so the side vision. Yeah. May Allah save us from this, inshallah. Okay, press the next one again. So diabetic retinopathy. So diabetes, 1 in 16 people, 5 million have it in the UK. Okay. Because of the high sugar in the blood, it damages the blood vessels. Okay. So because this is the only place you can see blood vessels without cutting your skin, checking the back of the eye is actually a good health check for the blood vessels around your whole body. So many diseases, diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, many diseases that affect the blood vessels. I had a girl coming last week. She had bleeding in her eye, only 18 years old. She got rushed to the hospital. She had some kind of problem with the liver. So you'll be surprised at what the eyes can pick up. Also, the optic nerve and the retina is the only part of the central nervous system which can be seen from the exterior. So anything that affects your brain, multiple sclerosis, for example, disease, it shows up usually with swelling of the optic nerve. So very important that we get regular checks. And if you're diabetic, you've got a family history of diabetes, then it's important that we keep on top of our diabetes. I'll mention that towards the end if I've got time. And then the leading cause of blindness in the UK is macular degeneration. What is this? As we get old, for most people, over the age of 50, 60, the macular region, which is responsible for our central vision, it starts to thin. Okay? And yellow protein deposits called drusen start to deposit. Our eyes are working constantly, there's high metabolism. So as we get older, the eye can't get rid of the waste as quickly, and then you start damaging the eye. There's no cure for it. However, the people that study these things have said that people that eat a healthy diet, people that eat fruits with green inside them, like spinach, kale, there's an ingredient called lutein, and if a person eats this, then this will help prevent that. And also as well, I forgot to mention smoking. A person that smokes is 4 times more likely to get this. So again, you can tell I've been mentioning smoking, something you need to definitely cut out if you want to protect your eyes. So a person that has a macular degeneration, this is what they see, the central vision is blurry. Before I finish, I'm not going to mention the things I was going to mention because I've not got time, but just generally speaking, our deen teaches us, a person came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, who is the best of people? Prophet ﷺ said, Man tala umruhu wa hasuna amaluhu, the one that has the longest life, long life, and good actions. You can only do those 2 things if you're healthy. You can only have a long life if you're healthy, and you can only do good actions if you're healthy as well. So very important that if we want to be the best of people, we look after ourselves. Yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a prescription of two things, dua and dawa. Dua, we ask Allah, He's the musabbibul asbab. We make dua to Him. The Prophet has taught many duas. I don't have time to go into them. I'm sure you know some duas that are linked to the eyes. If not, then we can ask Allah every day to keep our bodies in good health. And then with dua is dawa. We have to use the means. Allah has made this darul asbab. Yeah? So if somebody has got diabetes or a family history of diabetes, and they've been to the doctors and they've been told they've got high sugar, they've got X, Y, and Z, it shouldn't mean that a person conspires that everything is made up. Yeah, we have people like that in the practice. Doctor said I've got diabetes. Somebody came last week. They've been told last 3-4 years. And he's saying that the doctor's just making it up. And then now he's got bleeding at the back of the eye. So we need to be aware that the doctors do tell us these things. Yeah. So have regular eye tests, quit smoking, eat healthy, and control our weight. And I'm just going to end the talk on one last point that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also mentions as well in the Quran, that blindness of the eyes obviously is a great loss. A person that doesn't have eyes is a great loss. But true blindness is the blindness of the heart. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَتَكُونَ لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ يَعْقِلُونَ بِهَا أَوْ آذَانٌ يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارُ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبُ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. That do you not travel in the earth? Do they not travel in the earth so that they may have hearts to understand with or ears to hear with? It is not the eyes that are blind, rather it is the hearts in the chest that are blind. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from being blind to the truth. And I'll end the talk there. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Jazakallah to Mullah Yasser. He's an optician as well, optometrist. So mashallah, we benefited a lot from the information. That was a physical aspect of the eyes, and inshallah we will now have the spiritual aspect of the eyes. And this is more important to understand the spiritual aspect. A lot of the times we come for namaz, salah, we do a lot of ibadat, but we don't feel the enjoyment of our ibadat. As the Shaykh Nawwarullah Marqadahu would mention, that a lot of his friends in the initial stages of tasawwuf, when they are struggling and in terms of sacrificing their nafs, they begin to enjoy the ibadat and the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But as soon as they start to cast evil glances and bad nazri, then they begin to lose the enjoyment of their ibadat. So this is why the spiritual aspect is very, very important. Inshallah, I want to call my respected and honorable Ustad Hazrat Maulana Abdul Rahif Sahab to come forward and share with us his words of wisdom. Inshallah, if you can remain seated, do not worry about our namaz. Inshallah, we'll pray our Isha as whenever the program is finished. And also, if you can just come forward, some of the brothers try and fill the absence, inshallah, be very beneficial.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulil kareem. Maulana Dr. Ilyas Raja Sahab was talking about the anatomy of the eye. What does that teach us? That the eye did not come into existence by chance. It was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How foolish would we be if you believe that iPhone, which has only 48 megapixels, was made by someone, and this eye, which every human, every creation, every animal, every fish, every bird has, there is no creator to it, and it came into existence by chance. Would that not be foolish? Tell me. So if this mobile phone has a maker, then this eye also has a maker, and that is none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know the crocodile, it has two eyelids. One goes horizontally and one goes up and down. So when it's underwater, it opens one, but the other one is closed. It can still see underwater. When it comes up the water, it opens both and you can see. Who made the eye like that? That's Allah. And this eye, as Maulana Sahib was mentioning, is a great ni'mat of Allah. We don't realize how great ni'mat it is. Yesterday, I was talking to my friend Maulana Sikandar Sahib. I was sitting in our HLC and talking, and his phone came. They opened, this is my elder sister. So he talked and then he passed the phone to me. To Maulana Sahib, ko bhi salam kariye. So I just gathered and people and get me go. And she was really happy. And then she says to Maulana Sahib, मेरे लिए दुआ करना, मेरी आंख बहुत कमजोर हो रही है, अल्लाह मेरी आंख को सलामत रखे। अब देखो ना मौलाना साहब, मुझे कुरान शरीफ मुंह पर तो आता नहीं है, अगर मेरी आंख चली गई तो मैं कुरान शरीफ कैसे पढ़ूंगी? देखा, हम तो हाफिज कुरान है, हमको अंदाजा नहीं है, लेकिन जो हाफिज नहीं है उनके लिए आंख कितनी बड़ी नेमत है। अगर आदमी नाबीना हो गया तो कुरान शरीफ कैसे पढ़ेगा? तो उस खातून को बेचारी को फिक्र है कि अगर मेरी आंख चली गई तो मैं कुरान शरीफ कैसे पढ़ूंगी? हमारी आंखें सलामत हैं मगर हम कुरान शरीफ नहीं पढ़ते। यूएसए से हमारे एक दोस्त का फोन आया, मैसेज आया, वो सुबह अरब शरीफ में था, मुझे कहता है मौलाना साहब, मेरी वाइफ जो है बेचारी बहुत शॉर्ट साइटेड है, बहुत लिमिटेड साइट है, और अब जो है उसका हियरिंग भी अफेक्टेड है, वो बेचारी बहरी भी होती जा रही है। मुझे डर लगता है अगर वो अंधी और बहरी हो गई तो वो चलेगी कैसे? अभी तो कम से कम सुनाई देता है तो वो चलती है, लेकिन अगर दोनों चला गया तो फिर उसका क्या होगा? आप प्लीज दुआ करें, अल्लाह उसकी आंख भी सलामत रखे, उसके कान भी सलामत रखे। इसको अल्लाह ने कहा अम्मन यमलिकु अस्समा वल अबसार, इसको अल्लाह ने कहा वल्लाहु अखरजकुम मिन बुतूनि उम्महातिकुम ला तअलमून शैअन वजअल लकुम अस्समा वल अबसार वल अफइदता लअल्लकुम तशकुरून। खुदा ने तुम्हें तुम्हारी मां के पेट से निकाला, तुम्हें कुछ खबर नहीं थी, खुदा ने तुम्हें कान दिए, आंख दी, दिल दिए, ताकि तुम खुदा का शुक्र करो। तो आंख is a great ni'mat, blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to understand it's a ni'mat. Many ni'mats in our body, आँख, कान, ज़बान, हाथ, पाँव, एक उंगली is ni'mat. Even the tooth in our mouth is a ni'mat. If that saliva dries out, our tongue will be stuck and we can't talk, we can't speak. So the tooth is also a ni'mat of Allah. So today we are talking about this ni'mat of eye. Ni'mat of eye. It's worth millions of pounds. This person got into an accident, lost his eyesight. He claimed insurance, he got I don't know how many millions. But he said, I'm ready to give all those millions if I get my eyes back. You see how many millions this eye is worth. Now, we need to use these eyes for positive things and avoid misuse and abuse. How can we use our eyes positively? Number one, look at the beautiful creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا. In another place, أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَيَنْظُرُوا كيف خلق الله السماوات والأرض. Do they never go around the earth and see how Allah created the heavens and the earth? Go around, also see how was the ending of the mujrimeen and take ibrat and lessons from them. Now, خلق الله السماوات والأرض. We go on journeys, travels, we see many things. Our mind is opened up. If we stay in one place, then we are like that frog of the well, which thinks the water is only in this well, there's no other water around the world. But if you take it out from there and put it in an ocean, you'll see, oh, there's lots of water here. So when we go around, we see the creation of Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. The mountains, the beautiful sceneries, the oceans, the birds, the fishes, the various ways of living of people. Also, if you don't go around, if you see planet Earth, you will see how Allah has created the Earth. Blue Planet on BBC, how the fishes work on their world, how Allah has created these things. So, number one, use your eyes to take the lead of the existence and wujud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today, there are many people who turn atheists, agnostics, believe in Allah. Allah is saying, go around and see, انظروا كيف خلق الله السماوات والأرض. Observe. Dr. Raja Sahib said, 80% of our information comes through the eyes. If you observe and you see, then you will realize that now there is a creator. Sir Isaac Newton says, when I look at the universe and the planets and the sun and the moon and the stars and their orbits, when I observe that, it compels me to believe that there is someone behind it who created everything and who is extremely powerful, who is extremely knowledgeable, who is extremely wise. Because without power, without knowledge, without wisdom, such a beautiful, organized manner cannot be brought into existence. It did not come into existence by chance. There is a powerful creator behind it. How did he realize the creator? By observing the planets. Hazrat Allama Shibli Nomani, Rahmatullah Ali, has written that Sir Isaac Newton was in England and he was surrounded by people who believed in Trinity, but he himself did not believe in Trinity. He was a Unitarian. He believed in the oneness of Allah. And Allama Shibli says, if Islam had reached him, he might have embraced Islam, etc. Use your eyes to observe the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and realize that He is there. He is the one who created everything. Number two, use your eyes to look at the food and drinks which Allah has made for you. That pizza, that biryani, even that piece of bread, roti, which came in that plate in front of you. How many people have been working behind it? That atta, that rice, you bought it from the shop. The shopkeeper bought it from warehouse. He bought it from someone who imported it. The importer had it exported from another country. And where it's exported from, it was collected from various farmers. And the farmers worked behind it. And those who worked behind it, they farmed in the farmland, they sowed the seed, and they worked behind it, watered it, looked after it for 6 months. And before that, you know what happened? Where did the seeds originally come from? Who sent down the rainwater? Thousands of people have been working for that one piece of bread which is in your plate. This is what Hazrat Maulana Khalil Ahmad Saharun Puri Rahmatullah says, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. Allah did not bring plural, He brought singular. He did not say, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعَمَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. Allah said, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ. One ni'mat. Behind one ni'mat, there are hundreds of ni'mat. If you start pondering over that one ni'mat, you will fail to calculate it, you will fail to enumerate it, you will fail to get to the bottom of it. So look at your food, your drinks, whenever you sit down to eat, and think about Allah. And when you do think about that, what are you going to do? Shukr. Alhamdulillah. Wa shukrulillah. When you do shukr of Allah, Allah will give you more. لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ. And then, number 3, positive use of the eyes is reading Quran Sharif. Make a habit of reading Quran Sharif every day. Because this is amali shukr of the eyes, practical shukr. Especially with Ramadan around the corner. Get into the habit from now. Get into the system. Start reading Quran Sharif. Will you do so, inshallah? And that is you're going to start reading Quran from today, inshallah. Every day, as much as you can. 3 siparas, if not 3, 1 sipara. If not, half sipara. Or a quarter of sipara. By 1 page. And slowly progress, 2 pages, 3 pages. Ladies listening as well. You know, bring down that musalla, bring down that rahel, bring down that Quran Sharif. And start reading. Reading good books. Educating yourself. These eyes are for this. Use it for good purpose. Don't misuse this ni'mat of Allah, because that would be an abuse of the ni'mat of Allah. How do we misuse this ni'mat of Allah? First of all, by looking at the opposite gender. Bad nazari. This is one of the main things. Guna, sin of the eye. We are living in an age where the concept of sin has been wiped out. The society around us think that there is no such thing as a sin. They think that everything is okay, everything is good, everything is virtuous. You can do whatever you like. The advertiser, Nike, says just do it. Whatever you want to do, just do it. Don't think about anyone, what will someone say, what will someone do, how will people see me. Don't care about anyone or anything. Just do whatever you want to do. Just see whatever you want to see. Just watch whatever you want to watch. Look at whoever you want to look at. There's no concept of sin in today's society. So when we leave them to one side, we over here in these 4 walls are all Muslims. We are bound by the kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. Whose hukam? Hukam kiska chal raha hai? Or way of life, sunnat kiski follow karni hai? Uswe Hasana role model. Who is our role model? Whatever Allah says, we have to do. Whatever Prophet ﷺ does, we have to obey. This is our motto. This is our life. This makes us Muslims. Because Islam means total submission to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there is any hesitation, any reservation, any second thoughts about Allah's hukam or about the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then this will affect your Islam. This is why Allah said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu dkhulu fis silmi kaffah. Enter Islam fully, wholeheartedly. Now, if Allah and His Rasul say something is a sin, you have to understand it's a sin. Sin of the eye, sin of the ears, sin of the tongue, sins of the hands and the feet and the private parts. Sins related to wealth and property, looting, stealing, interest, suud, gambling, whatever Allah and His Rasul say is a sin, is a sin. No matter how much you feel it's majboori, I have to do it, I have to take mortgage, I have to pay loan, I have to do this, I've got no other choice. No, my friend, you do have a choice. Where there's a will, there's a way. So you have to understand if Allah and His Rasul say something is a sin, and it's a sin. Sin of the eye, Allah and His Rasul have told us to lower our gaze. قل للمؤمنين يغضوا من أبصارهم ويحفظوا فروجهم ذلك أزكى لهم إن الله خبير بما يصنعون وقل للمؤمنات يغضضن من أبصارهن ويحفظن فروجهن. Addresses to both mu'minin and mu'minat. Mu'minin should look down as well, mu'minat should look down as well. Sometimes mu'minat think that looking down for men only. For us it's okay, I'm wearing niqab, I can look at whatever I want. That's the wrong point. Mu'minat have to look down as well. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Allah man hafiza farjahu falahu jannah. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, النظر سهم مسموم من سهام إبليس. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لعن الله الناظر والمنظور إليه. Allah curses the one who stares and the one who is stared at. He said, nazar and staring, watching, looking at the opposite gender is a poisonous arrow from the arrows of Iblis. Shoot that arrow at your heart and he takes the janaza out of your soul and your spirit and your ruh. Once you fall into this habit of looking at things you shouldn't be looking at, there's no end to it. Because it looks tasty, feels nice, you get a buzz out of it, and you want more and more and more. That's the poisonous arrow he shot at your heart, and he poisoned your heart. Now you can't see any way out. This is one of the main misuses of the eyes. Another misuse of the eye is looking at other people's property with intention of theft, stealing. You see someone's wallet, someone's mobile, someone's money, someone drops something, you look at it, nobody's watching, you pick it up and run away. This is the misuse of the eye. Blind man cannot steal because he can't see. You go eyes, you can see, you misuse your eyes. Today, we want to talk about the first misuse. How people misuse it. Reminds me of Hazrat Qari Amir Hassan Sahib Rahmatullahi alayhi, Khalifa of Hazrat Sheikh Zakaria Nawallahu Qadahu, who said, इस ज़माने में तीन गुनाह बहुत आम हैं. बदगुमानी, बदजुबानी और बदनिगाही. Badgumani, we have bad thoughts about one another. Mind your own business. Badgumani, having bad thoughts about everyone. And then Badgumani leads to Badzubani. When you are always thinking bad about others,
you're going to talk bad about them as well. So it leads to evil. This is why in Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ijtanibu kathiran min adh-dhann, inna ba'da adh-dhanni ithmun wa la tajassasu annan wa la yaghtab ba'dukum ba'd. Because dhann leads to evil. So Allah brought dhann first and then evil. If you don't think bad about other people, you won't do evil. But if you do think bad about people, you will do evil as well. So one guna is badgumani, other guna is badzubani, and Hazrat said third guna, which is very arm, is badnigahi. Everybody is mubtala with badnigahi, looking at the opposite gender with lust, shahwat. Allah maaf kare. Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi also said, बदनिगाही ऐसा गुनाह है कि इसमें आवाम और खवास सभी मुब्तला हैं. It's such a sin that the general public and khawas are both engaged in it. May Allah protect us. So we have to understand the gravity of the matter. Now, let me first mention some statistics about this subject. भाई आदमी इस्माइल साहब को कुर्सी दो, बेचारे थक गए हैं, इनको कुर्सी पर बिठाओ, उधर पीछे कुर्सी पे बैठ जाओ. We have some statistics here which say, I'll go over them quickly. There are 420 million web pages dedicated to pornography. Men's Health reports porn rewires your brain, it hijacks your libido, and it leads to depression. Some statistics. Viewing. Pornography is the largest money-making industry in the world. It makes more money than pop industry, it makes more money than sport, and everything put together. The largest money-making industry is pornography. In one place I read that in America, 40 million people are addicted to pornography. And every second, 28,000 people are watching pornography. Every second. 30% said it affected their productivity. 20% said they would rather watch porn than have intimacy with their partner. 80% of males surveyed were married or in a relationship. They say 50 years ago it was a blessing to see a naked woman. Now she is at the touch of a button. Porn is a drug that leads to addiction, which leads to distancing from loved ones and losing jobs. People watch porn at work and at uni. Many times lose their jobs, fail in their exams, all because of being addicted to pornography. This young man in his uni computer room was alone with his computer on. Musalman young man, his friend comes in and he was watching a blue movie. So his friend said, "Are you hungry? Suddenly out." I said, "No, what's wrong with it? I'm only watching, I'm not doing anything." Now, first thing is, his sharam is gone. If it was someone else with a bit of sharam, he would have immediately turned off. So he's become sharam. And then he is being bold. I'm only watching, I'm not doing anything. This is where the society is going down. Now, I'm mentioning these statistics. You might think that these are from American or non-Muslim websites. Muslims are Pak, Sufi, Jannati. Nah, my friends. खरबूजा खरबूजे से रंग पकड़ता है. Watermelon gets the color from the watermelon next to it. So our society does affect us. It says here, pornography is a form of sexism. Women are commoditified, objectified in pornography. They are looked at as a commodity, as an object. This is why today society has become such that, even if there was an accident, someone is bichari in pain out there, then people's mind will be towards, the other side, looking at the beauty, taking photo, not calling ambulance, not feeling pity for the person, rather their mind is dirty. We can't understand this. Allah maaf kare ye bichare warriors. Once, long time ago, one of my friends wanted to buy a car, so I took him, and we were coming from Darul, and there was some advertising this car. He said, "Can we have a look at it?" I said, "Go on then, no problem." So we went, and he said, "Okay, I'll take you for a test drive." So he sat in the driver's seat, and me and my friend in the car. He was in front, I was in the back, and was going through the town center. And every second he's saying, "Nice one, nice one, nice one." Because I'm pulling the nice one, nice one. Then I realized, oh my God, you see that mentality? That this mentality affects us as well. That's how the brain works. This is misuse of the eye. It makes a woman an object. You have no pity for the other person, no matter how much pain she is in. You will only look at her as an object. You will feel that, why did you get to her? I wish I could sleep with her. This is that lust and that shahwat and that desire which creeps into the mind. It says here, it can lead to degrading women and violence at home. I'm not making this up. I'm just quoting from the websites where I took it from. So it can, and it does happen. Most of the time, violence at home is because the person is too addicted. So he doesn't like his wife anymore. He looks at all those beautiful women who go through the makeup and then before they come in front of the camera. So when he sees those things, he doesn't like his wife. And then there's fight and arguments, and then one thing leads to another. Families are shattered. Kids बिचारे बीच में involved होते हैं, पता नहीं कहाँ से कहाँ बात चली जाती है. It makes one dissatisfied with one's wife, and men get bored with one partner. It creates a single standard beauty which no woman can live up to. It's fake. आगे लिखा है GNQ statistics, 53% of the no-fappers had developed a regular porn habit between the age of 12 and 40. Porn habit developed at the age of between 12 and 14. बच्चों का ख्याल रखो, make sure you look after them properly. Don't give them easy access to mobiles and computers. An alarming 16% said they had started watching before the age of 12. Among 27 to 31-year-olds surveyed, 19% suffered from premature ejaculation. 25% are not interested in intimacy with their partner. 34% experience erectile dysfunction. These are all statistics. Let me now read to you some RBTs of those who are affected by this. Their own, क्या कहते हैं RBT? Autobiography. One person writes, People might start off with straight sex, man and woman, but this would then get too boring. So they will start to explore lesbian, which again will get boring. They will then move on to role play fantasies, meaning doctor, nurses, boss, secretary, after which they can't get satisfied. So they watch family role plays, stepdaughter, stepfather, stepmother, stepson. He writes, it is at this point that I had a problem and I decided to seek help. I was wondering, where do I draw the line? Do you understand? नहीं समझ नहीं पड़ी। एक चीज से बस नहीं होता तो दूसरी पे जाते हैं। पहले तो जो नॉर्मल रिलेशनशिप है, उसके बाद फिर अपने हमजिन्स के साथ रिलेशनशिप। And this reminds me, once I was reading some statistics of this, and there was a very nice article by this Muslim doctor, and he said, remember, every time you watch something and then delete it, it can get deleted from your computer or iPad or mobile, but it doesn't get deleted from the Google server. That's where they get their statistics from. It remains there. That's the Google server. The last server, it remains there as well. Unless you do talk. They're alive, you know. And from the statistics they survey that the top 10 countries in the world which watch pornography, among them 6 are Muslim countries. And if I was to name them, you would be shocked. And it mentioned that this Muslim country watches male porn the most, gay porn, man on man. This Muslim country watches gay porn the most. Statistics, I'm not making it up. It's an article. Vancouver, doctor from Vancouver, he wrote it. So it starts with straight and then goes on, and then you don't like it, and then you go to fantasies, and then it goes to that stepfather, stepdaughter, stepmother, stepson. And you know something, it's now moving towards क्या कहते हैं वो छोटे बच्चों का जिसमें शौक होता है pedophilia. The other day I read on Twitter, one of the senators in USA was saying on Twitter that pedophilia is not a problem, it's only a person's personal desire, there's nothing wrong with it. And I said, Baba, badmash hai, lesbian ne, gay ne, what do halal kar raha hai, dhime dhime dhana bachchaon par bhi attack ho raha hai. Pedophilia ne bhi allow kar raha hai. There's nothing wrong with pedophilia. No, bachchaon ne rape kare. That's where the society is heading, my friend. I'm telling you, that's where it's going. We might not be alive here, but that's where they're going to end up. It's only Islam which is keeping us sane. As long as we hold on to our deen, our Islam will remain on track. If we lose our deen, our Islam is gone, we'll be like them as well. And remember, we should not be like them. Kuntum khayra ummatin تأمرون بالمعروف وتنهون عن المنكر وتؤمنون بالله. We have to guide them. We have to guide them. We have to tell them this is right, that is wrong. And you know, believe me, many non-Muslims out there appreciate Muslims. They say our Muslim Gohara, they are good. They hold on to their values. Qatar mein LGBT, they stood firm. So they value it. So this person is asking, that's when I realized, where do I draw the line? I would say to him, my friend, Islam has already drawn the line for you. It's up to you to take that hard step and put a stop to it. Number 2, and then another point, kids discuss explicit contents in schools, and I would add to that in maktabs. They discuss it like football. Some discuss which porn stars to watch. Number 3, this is something from I heard from some ustad. One student said to the ustad, my problem got so bad, I used to watch explicit content every day after school, and then I used to masturbate, but I couldn't go for a bath because my dad would shout at me for wasting water and having ghusl every day. So I would just come with that napaki to the masjid and read Quran in front of those guys. This is one student saying it, maktab student. Imagine what will be happening to those who don't come to Quran. Every day he's coming to the masjid, he's reading Quran. Junubi admi, you can't enter the masjid. It's haram for a person who's in need of ghusl to enter masjid without ghusl. It's haram for him to touch the Quran. It's haram for him to read the Quran. And this young man, because his dad is always shouting at him. It means if your son does or daughter does have shower every day, there must be reason behind it. Don't shout at them, let them stay far. Number 4, one 14, 15-year-old would watch explicit content and then tell everything to his 10-year-old brother, encouraging him to watch as well. Allah hifazat kare. Effects of porn. I know we're going over the time a little bit, but you have to stay for it. Sabr, patience. Inna Allah ma'as sabirin. According to experts, porn creates high dopamine in the brain. It's the highly addictive chemical that's responsible for pleasure. It's the novelty of porn which makes it highly addictive, to the point where some users isolate themselves away from their partners. Paula Hall, a sex addict therapist, says dopamine thrives on the novelty. No matter how gorgeous your partner looks, no one can compete with novelty. I would say here, kullu jadidin laziz. But despite the high levels of dopamine, many addicts describe feelings of shame and disgust with themselves afterwards. Sometimes it results in losing relationship, meaning divorce, losing job, losing self-esteem. Sometimes they turn suicidal. 1 in 5 men describe themselves as suicidal. Then she writes, it is possible to overcome these addictions, though. She writes a few cases. Number 1, Michael, name changed, 28, was 13 when he came across porn on the internet while he was searching for some material regarding his homework. He was only 13. Naked bodies started popping up. He felt a rush of emotion. By 16, it became a regular habit. He just couldn't stop. He began watching it for hours. He stopped going out with friends, even with his girlfriend, in order to watch porn. The craving intensified. He started watching different kinds of ethnicities, different bodies and different shapes. Now, how did he overcome this addiction? Number 1, he says, first of all, I confessed to my girlfriend, who is now my wife. She encouraged me to find accountability, not only in her, but also in a mentor, another man who had overcome it and who he could relate to, and they could relate to one another. He says, I did that and it helped me a lot. So he confessed and he found accountability to someone who went through that stage and regularly talked to him, and that person guided him. Right. This could be your Imam Sahib, your Pir Sahib, your Sheikh. You tell him, this is my habit, please help me. And he'll give you some steps to take. Accountability. Every Muslim is accountable to Allah subhanahu on the day of Qiyamah. One young man wrote to Sheikh Yunus, हजरत मुझे बदनजरी की आदत है, ये आदत नहीं छूट रही है. हजरत ने फरमाया जब बदनजरी का शौक हो तो ये सोच लो कि ये आंख जहन्नम की आग में कैसे जलेगी. If I keep watching this and I die, how will my eye burn in the fire of Jahannam? Am I able to tolerate that fire of Jahannam? You can't tolerate a kachara. Allah has made this eyelid so that it can remove all the kachara and the dirt and the dust. Imagine how this eye will tolerate the fire of Jahannam. An eye itself will burn in the fire of Jahannam. The whole body will burn. Eye will burn as well. Accountability. Number 2, she writes that you can cure yourself by replacing this habit with something else, like sports, outdoor activities, etc. I would say, ठीक है, ये इसने अच्छी आइडिया दी है, लेकिन आपके पास तो बहुत कुछ है इसको रिप्लेस करने के लिए. सबसे पहली चीज रिप्लेस करने के लिए क्या है? मस्जिद, कुरान शरीफ, अल्लाह का घर, अल्लाह के पास आ जाओ. और उसके बाद उन लोगों के हाल अहवाल पढ़ो कि जो अपनी आंख की हिफाजत करते थे, उससे तुमको हिम्मत आएगी. If you read about those who protected their eyes, you will get lots of himmat from them. Let me read to you how Salafi Salihin used to control their eyes. I wrote this article some time ago and I posted it on my Facebook account as well. Fear of Salaf from temptation posed by women. The piety and taqwa and khawf and fear of Allah made the Salafi Salihin really scared of the fitna of women. Maymun ibn Mihran says, being entrusted to look after Baytul Mal treasury would be easier for me than being told to look after a woman. Siyar A'lam al-Nubala, volume 5, page 77. Ata ibn Abi Rabah said, if I was entrusted with the treasury, I would prove to be a trustworthy person. However, I wouldn't trust my nafs ego with a woman even if she was extremely ugly. Sa'id ibn Musayyib says, whenever shaitan loses hope from deviating someone, he approaches them from the women's side. Whenever he loses hope of gumrahi, of someone, deviating someone, then he approaches them from the women's side. Then Sa'id ibn Musayyib said, while he was 84 years old, one of his eyes had gone blind, and the other eye was also watery. In that state and at that age, Sa'id ibn Musayyib said, the thing that scares me most is looking at women. I wouldn't want to look at the woman. He also said, I don't fear upon myself from anything as much as I fear from women. They remark, but someone of your age has no desire for women, and women have no desire for you. He replied, it is as I tell you. This was despite his eyesight was really weak. Anas radiallahu anhu says, when a woman passes by you, close your eyes until she has gone ahead. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu. You know, once I was talking about this subject in Canada, Toronto. And then you go into the host house for food. sat there, and this, jolly friend, he said, मतलब अभी आंख ने क्यों नहीं हिफाजत कर रहा मुझे आंख ना अपना नफ्स ना ऊपर पनिशमेंट में हुआ तो हूँ पनिशमेंट क्योंकि भाई एमटेम जो ही जाए if you look here and there then punish your nafs by saying astaghfirullah 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 11 times, not less, not more. So when the nafs is punished 11 times, every time you stare, then slowly the gravity of the situation will appear, and the taste of that sin will go away. The sin will become bitter. कड़वा થઈ જાય પછી નફ્સ કે યાર આટલું ધનો કર 11 ઇસ્તિગફાર પઢા કરે કભે ભી ગુનો ન કરો તો નફ્સ પછી ગુનો નહીં કરે જે બીજું પનિશમેન્ટ લોકો કે એવું પનિશમેન્ટ કરવાનું કે ભાઈ એવરી ટાઈમ ભાઈ આંખ એમ તેમ જાય તો $1 $3 સદકો નહીં પડે મને કે મને સાહેબ તો આખી બીજી સીમત નહીં છે સર્વ ધર્મ ને શું ન બોલી હવે હું કરી મળ સવાય અમે પેલી એના ઉપર ઝીબ્રા ક્રોસિંગ પર ઉભી રહેવાની પીને લઈને જાય હવે આંખો બંધ કરી લી અમે કે अनस इब्न मालिक की सेइंग आंखें बंद कर लो सामने से औरत गुजरे तो आंख बंद कर लो मत देखो ऐसा नीचे रखो ऐसा करते हैं मौलाना शमसुद्दीन बसार रहमतुल्लाह अलैह रांदेर में शेखुल हदीस थे उनके घर से जामिया हुसैनिया पढ़ाने आते तो मेन रोड से ना आते बैक स्ट्रीट से आते और किताब यूं हाथ में दबाई और नीचे देखते और नीचे देखते सीधे मस्जिद मदरसे में और मदरसे से निकले हाथ में किताब नीचे देखते देखते सीधे अपने घर में ऊपर देखते ही नहीं थे अभी की बात है कोई पुरानी बात नहीं कोई 1500-1400 साल पहले की बात नहीं भी 50 साल पहले की बात है ऐसे अल्लाह वाले थे तो अपनी आंख की हिफाजत करते थे अनस इब्न मालिक रदियल्लाहु अन्हु से Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu says, it is part of the people's abandoning the trust that they peep inside rooms and houses. यानी ये अमानत जाये हो जाती है, ये खियानत है, अमानत का जाये होना है कि आदमी लोगों के घरों में पीप करता है और दूसरों को गैर महरम को देखता है। ये गैर महरम को देखने की आदत बुरी है। If you want to go into someone's house, don't just barge into their kitchen just because they're your neighbors. अरे भाई कोई ने बुर्का पहना है, नहीं पहना है, हिजाब पहना है, नहीं पहना है, उनका घर है। नॉक करो, खड़े रहो, वेट करो, इजाजत मिले जब तक जाओ। आधा भी Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu used to say, to die and then be resurrected, and die again be resurrected, and die again be resurrected. All that pain of death, sakarat of mort. He said 3 times. This would be easier than looking at the satar of someone or that someone looks at my satar. So that pain is easier than looking at the satar, private parts of someone. Humayd ibn Hilal says, among us, there was a man named Aswad ibn Kulthum. When he would walk, his eyes would never exceed his feet. There were some chambers of the palace along the way in which there were some women who would sometimes remove their headgear and sit outside on the balcony, or sometimes they would remove parts of their clothes. When he would be walking from there, they see someone coming, they would feel scared and rush to cover themselves. Then someone among them say, oh, he's only Aswad ibn Kulthum, don't worry. He'll never look up, he's only looking down. One of the Salihin was asked, where should we search for you in the hereafter? He said, look for me among those who will be looking at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the person asked, how can you be so certain about this that you will be looking at Allah? And he said, because over here in dunya, I control my gaze from forbidden stuff, and because I refrain from sins and indecencies. Fawahish. Because I protect myself from sins and fawahish, and because I don't look at anything I shouldn't be looking at, I know for certain that Allah will allow me to look at Himself on the day of judgment. अपनी आंख में हया का सुरमा लगाओ, शर्म का सुरमा लगाओ। जब ये सुरमा आंख में होगा तो कयामत के दिन अल्लाह का दीदार नसीब होगा। अगर यहाँ ऐसी चीजें फिल्मी चीजें देखते रहे तो अल्लाह के दीदार से महरूम रहेंगे। इसीलिए सूरह आले इमरान की आयत याद आती है। अल्लाह पाक से ज़ुय्यिना लिन्नासि हुब्बु शहवाति मिनन निसाइ वल बनीन वल क़नातीरिल मुक़ंतरति मिनज़ ज़हबि वल फ़िद्दा वल ख़ैलिल मुसव्वमति वल अनआमि वल हर्थ ذلك متاع الحياة الدنيا والله عنده حسن المآب قل أنبئكم بخير من ذلكم للذين اتقوا عند ربهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها وأزواج مطهرة ورضوان من الله والله بصير بالعباد. Beautified in the eyes of men is the love of things they covet, meaning women, children, and then wealth, needlessly hoarded wealth, gold, silver, horses, farmlands. Allah started off with number one, which people love. What is that? Women. Women first. Then Allah said everything else. And then Allah said, قُلْ أَوْنَبِّئُكُمْ بِخَيْرٍ مِّنْ ذَلِكَ. That is only mata'ul brief enjoyment of this dunya. Shall I tell you something better than all this? For muttaqeen, jannatun tajri min tahtiha al-anhar khalid. And then first thing Allah said, وَأَزْوَاجٌ مُطَهَّرَةٌ. If you avoid women of this dunya and staring at them, Allah will give you the hurayn of Jannah. You only have to control your nafs for 50, 60, 70 years. This temporary life, and for eternally you will get the beautiful hurayn of Jannah. Such hur no eyes have ever seen, no ears have ever heard of, no mind has ever thought of. That's how beautiful those hurs will be if you control your eyes in this. Waqi ibn al-Jarrah said, we came out with Sufyan Thawri on the day of Eid. He said the first thing we do today is keep our eyes low. Because in those customs, women used to come for Eid Salat as well. So he said there's lots of people here, lots of women as well. So keep looking down, don't look up. You know, हमारे यहाँ तो औरतें नहीं आती हैं ईद में. मैं अमेरिका गया था. वहाँ ईद की नमाज we're going to pray in the park. छप्पर था साहिबान और शेर में ईद की नमाज. हमें तो ट्राई पढ़ा गया था. मुझे कहा ईद की नमाज पढ़ानी है, बयान भी करना है. ये मैं बात कर रहा हूँ मेरी शादी से पहले 1985. अब उस वक्त तो मैं इंग्लिश में बयान भी नहीं करता था, बहुत भारी पड़ता, लेकिन इंग्लिश में बयान करता था. मैंने तैयार किया, लिखा प्रिपेयर बयान किया, नमाज पढ़ाई, खुतबा दिया. अब जो है पीछे की 4-5 सफ जो है मर्दों की, बीच में थोड़ा सा गैप, और उसके बाद औरतें. तो औरतें पीछे, रात को स्कार्फ हिजाब पहन के. जैसे ही नमाज फिनिश हुई और खुतबा पूरा हुआ, सब गाड़ियों में आने लगे, तो औरतों का वो हिजाब भी गया, बैग खुल गई, आईना आ गया, लिपस्टिक आ गई, मेकअप शेकअप वहीं पर शुरू हो गया. मेरा भागो यहाँ से, अभी तो हमारी शादी भी नहीं हुई थी, यार ये क्या मुसीबत खड़ी होगी. तो ईद के दिन जब औरतें आती हैं तो फितना खड़ा हो जाता है. इसलिए इन्होंने कहा, सुफियान सौरी ने, कि भाई भागो यहां से, निगाह नीचे रखो, खबरदार जो किसी औरत की तरफ देखा थे. Hassan ibn Abi Sinan went out for Eid namaz. When he came back home, his wife kept pestering him by saying, how many beautiful women did you stare at today? When she dragged it too much, he said to her, woe unto you. Since I left home and until I returned, my eyes never moved from my toes. All the way I was only looking down, I never looked here and there. Ala ibn Ziyad says, don't stare at even the upper garment of a woman, because staring incites shahwat into the heart. Ibrahim ibn Adham said, always looking at unlawful things takes away the ma'rifat, recognition of haqq, from the heart. So, this is how Salafi Salihin used to protect themselves. Finishing off, my dear brothers, look at our state and compare it with the state of Salafi Salihin, where they were and where we are. We need to aim for that. We need to get there. We need to protect ourselves, men and women. You know, I haven't brought the statistics of women, but in those articles, there was statistics of women also watching porn. And he said that women also, but in fact in one place it was written that women watch more than men. हाँ उसमें लिखा तो मैं तो शॉक हो गया अल्लाह बचाए और sometimes अल्लाह माफ करे husband and wife both watch porn together. This is even worse. अल्लाह बचाए इसलिए my dear brothers, elders, sisters, I is the name of Allah. And we need to do shukr of the name of Allah. With our tongue, alhamdulillah. With our heart, appreciate the favor of Allah through the eyes. Appreciate it. And with our actions, use the eyes for good stuff. Don't use it for bad stuff. And read Quran Sharif, read nice books. If you have TV, you watch good things on there. Kaaba Sharif, or listen to Quran Sharif or whatever. But don't watch something that ignites and excites the passion and builds it up and creates the shahwat. Because this will kill off your soul. Janaza nikal jata hai. बदनजरी से रूह का जनाजा निकल जाता है। ये छोटे छोटे बच्चे हाफिज होते हैं लेकिन स्ट्रगल करते हैं, क्यों? इसलिए कि जैसे ही वो 12-13 साल के होते हैं गड़बड़ सड़बड़ शुरू हो जाती है, फिर वो दिमाग जो है वो पलूटेड हो जाता है, फिर उसमें कुरान शरीफ नहीं उतरता है। इसलिए बच्चे जब छोटे हो 9-10 साल के तो उनको हाफिज बना दो। हजरत जुनैद बगदादी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह once saw this person staring at an amrad. Amrad means young boy without beard. It's called amrad. Now he looks like a girl. So he was staring at that amrad. So Junaid Baghdadi said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he said, "Hazrat, I'm looking at the beautiful creation of Allah." Now Hazrat Junaid Baghdadi said, "Badmash Narayan, you were staring with lust and shahwat. I could see that in your eyes. And you are going to forget your Quran because of this bad habit of yours." After a few years, he totally, completely forgot his Quran. Because of the May Allah protect our family from the misery. Protect our ulama kiram from the misery. Protect our elders from the misery. Protect our women from the misery. Protect our kids from the misery. Especially watching all that filth and dirty stuff out there. May Allah protect us. May Allah keep our eyes back, soft, clean, and give us the surma of haya and sharam, and keep our eyes clean, keep our hearts clean, and resurrect us on the day of Qiyamah with clean people, and keep us in Jannah with the path and pure and clean hastis, with the muttaqeen and parhezgar. May Allah keep us strong on our deen and iman and sirat al-mustaqim. Jazakallah for inviting me, giving me the opportunity to sit here and talk to you. Jazakallah to Maulana, Rasulullah Sahab, Imam Sahab as well, and everybody, community. Inshallah, we'll meet again some other time, and may Allah make the talk beneficial for myself and for all of us as well. I said something bad, something feel bad, forgive me. Then I reward Maulana Ilyas as well for the beautiful presentation with regard to the anatomy of the eye. We need to understand the intricacies. We need to protect our eyes. Go to optician and look after our eyes. May Allah protect us. Our Hazrat Sheikh Yunus Sahab, after every namaz, he used to read Ya Nuru, Ya Nuru, Ya Nuru, Ya Nuru 11 times, and then he would blow on these two fingers and then once. That's how Sheikh Yunus used to do. After his tasbihat of Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, other azkar, at the end he would say Ya Nuru, Ya Nuru, Ya Nuru. I heard this myself, Ya Nuru, Ya Nuru, Ya Nuru. Now, when Hazrat Sheikh Yunus Sahab came in his last Safar, Sha'ban, he died 2 months later in Shawwal. Because he came here, he went for Umrah, he went back to Ramadan, and 16th of Shawwal he passed away. So exactly 2 months before he came here, we took him to Dr. Ilyas Raja's surgery, eye test. Dr. Salim Natha and Dr. Ilyas Raja tested his eyes, and they took the photo and everything, and they said, Hazrat, आपकी आंख बिल्कुल सलामत है, इसमें मोतिया भी नहीं है और चीज भी नहीं है, और पीछे जो वेन्स है उसमें खून भी बराबर सही मिकदार में दौड़ रहा है. And he was 82 at the time. Imagine 82, आंख बिल्कुल सलामत, खून भी बराबर दौड़ रहा है, आंख में कोई नक्स नहीं, कोई कमी नहीं। नंबर 1, शेख ने पूरी जिंदगी अपनी आंख की हिफाजत की। और नंबर 2, ये छोटा सा अमल, ये नूर क्या है? अल्लाह के 99 नेम्स में से एक नेम है। तो उसको आदमी या नूर, अल्लाह ने कहा वलिल्लाहिल अस्माउल हुस्ना फदउहू बिहा, अल्लाह के नाम से पुकारो। तो या नूर हो, अल्लाह के उस नाम से पुकारना है, और उससे फिर हम इसको दम कर देते हैं। तो दम में फायदा है, करो, आपको भी फायदा होगा इंशाअल्लाह। तो बिदत मत कहो। अब बात चलिए तो मैं कहता हूँ आपको बिठाऊंगा थोड़ी देर। शेख यूनुस साहब ने कहा कि भाई या नूर हो, और दूसरी चीज, दूसरा हजरत का अमल क्या था? या कवी हो, सर पे यूं हाथ रखा और या कवी 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 11 दफा पढ़। हजरत का दिमाग भी यकीन तक सलाम है। वफात से 2 दिन पहले, एक दिन पहले मुस्नद अहमद इब्न हंबल पढ़ रहे थे, उसमें से हाशिया लिख रहे थे। इतना स्ट्रॉन्ग दिमाग है। 50 साल तक बुखारी शरीफ पढ़ाई, मामूली बात है। 50 इयर्स बुखारी, फुल 50 इयर्स बुखारी शरीफ। तो शेख यूनुस साहब इधर ही कहने लगे कि लोग पूछते हैं कि या नूर या कवियो नमाज बाद सुन्नत है। फरमाया नहीं, ये या नूर या कवियो सुन्नत तो नहीं, आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने नहीं पढ़ा है, लेकिन अपने जिस्म का इलाज करना सुन्नत है, और इसको बनियते इलाज पढ़ लो, कोई हर्ज नहीं। जो है नहीं, that ya nuru and ya qawiyu in itself is not sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but ilaj, remedy or cure of the body from bimari and sicknesses is sunnah. So read ya nuru and ya qawiyu with the niyyat of ilaj, and it will be included in the sunnah. There are many other, these types of azkar, or there's no harm in there. People say this bidat, that by, if you want to say something is bidat, be very careful. Your statement, you have to provide proof for it on the day of Qiyamah. If there was something not bidat and you called it bidat, Qiyamah ke din mushkil pad jaoge. You will have a hard time answering your statement, clarifying your statement on the day of Qiyamah. So, अल्लाह हमारी आंखों की हिफाजत करे, हमारे आज़ाए जिस्म की हिफाजत करे। अल्लाह पाक जो है हर किस्म के फवाहिश मुनकरात से हमें बचा कर रखे, और हमारी सोसाइटी को पाक कर दे, क्लीन कर दे, हर किस्म के मुनकरात से अल्लाह हमें बचा करे। दुरूद शरीफ पढ़े, शॉर्ट दुआ, सुभानअल्लाह व बिहम्दिही, اللهم لك الحمد ولك الشكر، اللهم لا نحصي ثناء عليك انك كما اثنيت على نفسك، اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما. اللهم طهر قلوبنا من النفاق، وأعمالنا من الرياء، وألسنتنا من الكذب، وأعيننا من الخيانة، فإنك تعلم خائنة الأعين وما تخفي الصدور. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها، أنت وليها ومولاها या अर्हम फज़ल करम से हम सब की मग़फ़िरत फरमाइए, पूरी उम्मत की मग़फ़िरत फरमाइए, पूरी उम्मत पर रहम कर दीजिए, करम कर दीजिए, माफ़ फरमा दीजिए। हमारे यहाँ उठना बैठना कहना सुनना कबूल फरमाइए, जो कुछ कहा उस पर हमें अमल करने की तौफ़ीक़ नसीब फरमाइए। हमारी आँखों की हिफाजत फरमाइए, हमारे कानों की, ज़बान की, हाथ पाँव शर्मगाह दिल दिमाग की, हर किस्म के गुनाहों से, फ़वाहिश से, मुनकरात से हिफाजत फरमाइए। छोटे बड़े गुनाहों को मुआफ़ फरमाइए, और या अल्लाह पूरी उम्मत को मुआफ़ फरमाइए, और पूरी उम्मत को आंखों की इस अजीम गुनाह से तौबा करने की तौफीक अता फरमाइए। हमारी टूटी फूटी दुआएं सुन लीजिए। रब्बना तक़ब्बल मिन्ना इन्नका अंतस समीउल अलीम व तुब अलैना इन्नका अंतत तव्वाबुर रहीम। सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व आलिहि व सहबिहि अजमईन।